touch those vials. Back off, they're dangerous.
At 23 weeks, Imani's water had broken. But breaking water didn't mean immediate labor, a fact that Dr. Cho explained with calm professionalism, while Imani lay on the emergency room examination table, her hand pressed to her belly where 2 lives still moved despite the terrifying gush of fluid that had woken her just hours ago. "PPROM," Dr. Cho said, pulling up ultrasound images on the monitor. "Preterm premature rupture of membranes. Your water has broken, but you're not in labor yet. No contractions." Imani's breath caught. "What does that mean?" Welcome to Korean X Afro Love Stories. Before we begin, drop a comment telling us which city you are watching from. We love seeing how far our stories travel. Don't forget to rate it from 0 to 10 and share what you felt along the way. If you enjoy the type of stories we share, make sure to follow us so you don't miss the next one. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy this story. It means we have a choice. Dr. Cho pulled up a chair, her expression grave but not hopeless. We can deliver now. At 23 weeks, your babies have perhaps a 10 to 20% chance of survival. Those who do survive face significant disabilities, months in the NICU, a lifetime of complications. She paused. Or we try to buy them time. How? Dae-jung demanded from his position against the wall, still wearing the suit from whatever business had kept him out until 2 a.m., when Imani's panicked call had brought him racing back to the penthouse. Aggressive medical management, hospitalization, complete bed rest, antibiotics to prevent infection, steroids to mature their lungs faster, magnesium to protect their brains. Dr. Sao Cho's eyes moved between all 3 of them, Imani, Dae-jung, and Sung-ho, who'd arrived 20 minutes ago and hadn't left her side since. With this protocol, some women carry for days, even weeks after their water breaks. Every day we can delay delivery improves their chances exponentially. How long? Sung-ho asked, his lighter brown eyes fixed on the monitor where 2 tiny forms moved in what little amniotic fluid remained. That's impossible to predict. Could be 3 days, could be 3 weeks. The record is 14 weeks, but that's extraordinarily rare. Dr. Cho turned back to Imani. But I won't lie to you. This is extremely high risk. Without amniotic fluid, the babies face infection risk, cord compression, lung underdevelopment, and you face infection that could kill you. Imani's hand moved protectively over her belly. What are their chances if we wait? If we can get you to 28 weeks, 90% survival with minimal complications, 30 weeks, 95%, 34 to 37 weeks? Dr. Cho's expression softened slightly. They'd be essentially healthy, just slightly early. The math was brutal and beautiful simultaneously. Every day mattered. Every week was exponential. "I'll do it," Imani said, her voice steadier than she felt. "Whatever it takes. I'll stay on bed rest for months if that's what they need." Dr. Cho nodded. "Then we admit you immediately. You will not leave this hospital bed. Not to shower, not to use the bathroom, nothing, until these babies are born. It could be tomorrow. It could be 3 months from now." "A prisoner again," Imani whispered, meeting Dae-jung's dark eyes across the room. His jaw tightened. "A protected mother. There's a difference." "Is there?" But even as she said it, Imani knew the truth. This cage, she was choosing. This confinement was for her daughters, not his control, though the result would be the same. They moved her to a private room within the hour, the best money could buy, which in Dae-jung's world meant a suite that looked more like a luxury hotel than a hospital. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Seoul's glittering nighttime skyline, a sitting area with leather furniture, a bathroom she wouldn't be allowed to use. The bed, though, was pure medical necessity. Monitors flanked it on both sides, tracking 2 separate heartbeats with steady, reassuring beeps. An IV stand held bags of antibiotics and fluids. The sheets were hospital-grade, designed for exactly the kind of long-term confinement she faced. "Comfortable?" the nurse asked in accented English, adjusting the pillow behind Imani's back. as comfortable as someone can be, knowing they can't move for the next however many weeks, Imani replied, trying for humor and landing somewhere near hysteria. The nurse's smile was sympathetic. The first few days are the hardest. You'll adapt. Women are stronger than they know. After she left, silence filled the room. Dae-jung stood at the window, his 6'2" frame rigid with tension. Sung-ho sat in the chair closest to her bed, his broader shoulders hunched forward, elbows on his knees. "One of you should leave," Imani said quietly. "You can't both stay here 24/7. "Watch me," Dae-jung said without turning around. "We'll take shifts," Sung-ho corrected, his tone brooking no argument. "You're carrying both our daughters. We both stay." Imani's hand moved to her belly again, that automatic gesture of protection that had become second nature. "They're going to hate this, being cooped up in here with barely any fluid to move in." "They're fighters," Sung-ho said softly, "like their mother." "They'd better be." Imani closed her eyes against sudden tears. "Because I don't know if I'm strong enough for this." "You are." Dae-jung finally turned from the window, his intense dark eyes finding hers. "You've survived everything I've thrown at you. Everything my brother has complicated. You'll survive this too." "I'm not surviving," Imani whispered. "I'm enduring. There's a difference." Before either brother could respond, Dr. Cho returned with a phlebotomist, pushing a cart of blood-drawing supplies. "While you're here," the doctor said, pulling up Imani's medical chart on the room's computer, "we should do the paternity test. You're far enough along now that the non-invasive test will be accurate." The room's energy shifted instantly. Both brothers went still in that predatory way they had, all focused attention and contained violence. "How does it work?" Imani asked, though she knew. She'd researched this months ago, back when she'd still believed she was the one in control of this situation. "We draw blood from you. The baby's DNA is already circulating in your bloodstream. We compare it to samples from both potential fathers." Dr. Cho's expression remained professionally neutral, though her eyes flickered between the two men with obvious curiosity. "Results in 24 to 48 hours. "Do it," Dae-jung commanded. "I need Ms. Cross's consent, not yours," Dr. Cho replied coolly, turning to Imani. "This is your choice." Was it, though? Imani looked between the two brothers, Dae-jung with his sharp, dangerous beauty and cold calculation, Sung-ho with his rugged warmth and complicated guilt. They both wanted to know, needed to know. And she needed to know too, needed to understand which daughter belonged to which father, which baby would bind her to which man for the rest of her life. "Do it," she echoed. The blood draw was quick and efficient. 3 vials from Imani's arm, the phlebotomist labeling them with practiced precision. Then both brothers stepping forward without hesitation to have their own blood taken, to provide the DNA that would determine everything. "The samples go to our lab tonight," Dr. Cho said, collecting the vials. "I'll call as soon as we have results. In the meantime, Ms. Cross, you need rest. Your body is under extreme stress. Sleep when you can." After the medical staff left, Imani stared at the ceiling, hyper-aware of both men still in the room. The monitors beeped steadily. Outside, Seoul's nightlife pulsed with energy and freedom she'd never have again. "One of you should really leave," she said again. "No," they replied in unison. Imani would have laughed if she weren't so exhausted. "Fine, but I'm sleeping. Figure out who gets the chair and who gets the couch." She closed her eyes, willing herself toward unconsciousness despite the surreal situation. Trapped in a hospital bed, pregnant with twins who might die any day, waiting to find out which belonged to which dangerous man. This was her life now. And somewhere across Seoul, Marcus Turner was planning his next move. Sleep didn't come easily. Every time Imani drifted toward unconsciousness, her body jerked her awake, hyper-aware of the wetness between her legs, the constant trickle of amniotic fluid she couldn't control, the terrifying reality that her daughters were floating in dangerously low liquid. The monitors beeped their steady rhythm, but instead of being soothing, each beep reminded her that those heartbeats could stop at any moment. You need to rest. Sung-ho's voice came from the darkness. He'd claimed the chair closest to her bed, while Dae-jung had taken the leather couch near the windows. I can't, Imani admitted, opening her eyes to find him watching her. In the dim light from the monitors and the city glow filtering through the windows, his rugged features looked softer, more vulnerable. Every time I close my eyes, I imagine waking up to silence, no heartbeats, just nothing. That's not going to happen. He reached out, hesitated, then let his hand rest on the bed near hers. Not touching, but close. Dr. Cho said they're strong, both of them. Dr. Cho also said I could go into labor at any moment. That infection could kill all three of us. Imani's voice cracked. I'm so scared, Sung-ho. This time he did touch her, his broader hand covering hers with surprising gentleness. I know. I am too. The admission surprised her. Men like the Ri brothers didn't admit fear, didn't show weakness, didn't. When Mi-sun is born, he continued, using the name he'd chosen for his daughter without asking Imani's permission, I'm going to tell her about this night, about how brave her mother was. How she chose to fight for weeks in a hospital bed rather than give up. I haven't done anything brave yet, Imani whispered. I'm just lying here. You're keeping them alive. That's the bravest thing I've ever seen. From the couch, Dae-jung's voice cut through the moment. Stop making her emotional. Stress isn't good for the babies. Neither is pretending everything's fine, Sung-ho shot back. I'm not pretending anything. I'm being practical. Dae-jung sat up, his lean, muscular frame unfolding with predatory grace even in the darkness. Imani needs rest. You're keeping her awake with your feelings. My feelings? Sung-ho's hand tightened on Imani's. At least I acknowledge she's a person, not just a vessel for your air. Don't you dare! Stop it, Imani interrupted, her voice sharp despite her exhaustion. Both of you. I don't have the energy for whatever this is. If you're going to stay, then actually help. Otherwise, get out. Both men went quiet. The monitors continued their steady beeping. Outside, a siren wailed in the distance, reminding Imani that life continued beyond this room, beyond her confinement, beyond her impossible situation. I'm sorry, Sung-ho said finally. You're right, we're not helping. Dae-jung didn't apologize, he rarely did, but he did stand and move to the small refrigerator the nurses had stocked. You haven't eaten since this morning. Dr. Cho said you need to maintain your strength. I'm not hungry. I don't care. He pulled out a container of cut fruit and brought it to her bedside. Eat. For them, if not for yourself. It was the closest thing to tenderness Dae-jung ever showed, wrapped in commands and control. Imani took a piece of melon, chewed mechanically, tasting nothing but her own fear. The paternity results, she said after swallowing. When they come back, what happens then? We know which baby is whose, Dae-jung replied, as if it were obvious. And then? Then nothing changes. You're still here. They're still growing. We're still waiting. He sat on the edge of her bed, careful not to jostle her. But we'll know. That's something. Is it? Imani looked between them. Because I think knowing might make everything worse. Right now, you're both invested in both babies. But once you know which one is actually yours... I'm invested in both regardless, Sung-ho said firmly. They're sisters, half-sisters, but still family. You say that now. I mean it. Dae-jung's jaw tightened. As do I. Whatever the results show, both babies are under my protection. Both are part of this family. Imani wanted to believe them, wanted to trust that biology wouldn't override whatever fragile cooperation they'd established. But she'd seen how these men operated. Seen how Dae-jung treated what was his versus what wasn't. Seen how Sung-ho's guilt over his brother only went so far before self-interest won out. Time will tell, she said quietly, closing her eyes again. This time, exhaustion won over anxiety. She drifted into fitful sleep, aware on some level of both brothers keeping vigil through the night. Aware of the monitors, the constant trickle of fluid, the two lives still moving inside her despite everything, and in her dreams, she ran through Seoul's streets with two daughters who looked like strangers, chased by shadows that wore the faces of dangerous men who all claimed to love her. Imani woke to sunlight streaming through the floor-to-ceiling windows and the sound of hushed argument. "Not your decision to make," Dae-jung was saying, his voice low and dangerous. "Someone needs to tell her the truth," Sung-ho countered. "She has a right to know what security measures you're implementing. She has a right to rest without being burdened by operational details." "You mean she has a right to stay ignorant while you control everything?" Imani opened her eyes, turning her head toward where both brothers stood near the windows, backlit by morning sun. They'd both changed clothes at some point during the night, Dae-jung in a fresh charcoal suit, Sung-ho in dark jeans and a black sweater. They looked like they'd been arguing for a while. "I'm awake," she said, her voice rough with sleep. "So, whatever you're fighting about, I might as well know." Both men turned to her. Dae-jung's expression was carefully neutral, but Sung-ho looked genuinely troubled. "It's nothing," Dae-jung said. "It's Marcus," Sung-ho corrected, ignoring his brother's warning glare. Dae-jung's intelligence network picked up movement. "He's still in Seoul, still asking questions about you." Ice water flooded Imani's veins. "How close?" "Not close enough to be an immediate threat," Dae-jung assured her, moving to her bedside. "But close enough that I'm tripling security. No one gets near you without my permission." "He knows I'm in the hospital?" "We don't know what he knows, which is why I've had Kyung-soo positioned outside your door along with 4 additional guards." Dae-jung's hand found hers, his large, veiny fingers wrapping around her smaller ones with possessive warmth. "You're safe here, I promise you that." But promises from dangerous men were worth exactly nothing, and they all knew it. Before Imani could respond, a knock at the door announced the morning nurse, a different woman from last night, younger, with a kind smile that didn't quite reach her worried eyes. "Good morning, Ms. Cross. I'm Nurse Park. I'll be handling your day shift care." She moved to the monitors, checking readings with practiced efficiency. "How are you feeling? Any contractions? Cramping? Fever?" "Just tired," Imani replied. "And wet. Everything's just constantly leaking." "That's normal with PEEP-ROM. We'll change your bedding frequently to keep you comfortable." Nurse Park made notes on her tablet. "Dr. Cho will be by for rounds in about an hour. In the meantime, let's get you cleaned up and get some breakfast in you." The next 45 minutes were a lesson in humiliation. Sponge bath while lying flat, bedpan assistance, fresh hospital gown, clean sheets, all while unable to move, unable to maintain any dignity, unable to do anything but accept help for the most basic human functions. Both brothers left during the personal care, but Imani could feel their presence just outside the door, could imagine them standing guard like sentinels, protecting their investment, because that's what she was now, an investment, a vessel, the woman carrying the next generation of the Ri dynasty. "You're doing great," Nurse Park said as she finished, her tone genuinely encouraging. "I know this feels impossible right now, but you'll adapt. The human body is remarkably resilient." "The human spirit, though?" Imani asked quietly. "How resilient is that?" Nurse Park's expression softened with understanding. "More than you think. I've seen women endure months of bed rest. They survive. You will too." After the nurse left, Imani stared at the ceiling, counting the tiles because there was literally nothing else to do. The monitors beeped. The IV dripped. Outside the windows, Seoul lived and breathed and moved while she remained frozen in place. The door opened again, and this time Dr. Cho entered with her tablet and her professional calm. "Good morning, Imani. Let's see how our babies are doing." She pulled up the ultrasound machine, squirted gel on Imani's exposed belly, and pressed the wand against her skin. On the monitor, 2 small forms appeared, so much more defined than they'd been weeks ago, but still impossibly tiny. Baby A on the right, baby B on the left, both moving in the limited fluid that remained. "There we are," Dr. Cho murmured, checking measurements with focused intensity. Baby A measuring right on track for 23 weeks, strong heartbeat at 152 beats per minute. Baby B also measuring appropriately, heartbeat at 148. The fluid? Imani asked, though she could see the darkness on the screen that should have been white with amniotic fluid. Low, as expected, but the babies are still moving, still developing. That's what matters right now. Dr. Cho moved the wand, checking different angles. No signs of cord compression, which is excellent. No evidence of infection yet, also excellent. You're doing everything right. Imani, I'm lying here. That's not exactly heroic. It's harder than you think. The mental toll of bed rest is significant. Dr. Cho wiped the gel from Imani's belly with clinical efficiency, which is why I want you working with our hospital psychologist. She specializes in high-risk pregnancies and extended hospitalization. I don't need therapy. Everyone needs therapy in your situation. It's not optional. Dr. Cho made notes on her tablet. Dr. Kim will visit you this afternoon. In the meantime, I have an update on your paternity results. The room went silent except for the monitor's steady beeping. Dae-young straightened from his position against the wall. Sung-ho moved closer to the bed. Both men's faces showed nothing, but their tension was palpable. Already? Imani breathed. You said 24 to 48 hours. The lab prioritized it at Mr. Ri's request. Dr. Cho's expression remained neutral, giving nothing away. Do you want to know now, or would you prefer privacy? Now, all three of them said simultaneously. Dr. Cho pulled up the results on her tablet, studied them for a moment, then turned the screen so they could all see. Medical jargon filled the display, but one section was highlighted in yellow. Paternity results, fetus A, right position, 99.9% genetic match to subject number 1, Ri Dae-jung. Fetus B, left position, 99.9% genetic match to subject number 2, Ri Sung-ho. Silence crashed over the room like a wave. One baby for each brother. Exactly what they'd feared and expected simultaneously. Imani felt the world tilt on its axis. Her hand moved to her belly, to the place where 2 daughters grew. Half-sisters, not full siblings. 2 different fathers, 2 different claims on her future. Well, she whispered, that's that then. Dae-jung's face showed something that might have been relief mixed with possessive triumph. His daughter, his blood, his legacy. Sung-ho's expression was more complicated, relief and guilt and something that looked like grief all tangled together. He had a daughter, yes, but she'd always be connected to his brother's child. To this impossible situation. Both babies are healthy, Dr. Cho continued, as if she hadn't just delivered news that would shape the rest of their lives. The paternity has no bearing on their medical care. My job remains the same, keep them growing as long as possible. How long? Dae-jung asked, his voice rough. We're aiming for 30 weeks minimum. 34 would be ideal. Dr. Cho closed her tablet. That gives us anywhere from 7 to 11 more weeks of bed rest, assuming no complications. 7 to 11 weeks trapped in this bed. 7 to 11 weeks of both brothers hovering, fighting over access to their respective daughters. 7 to 11 weeks of being a vessel, a container, a means to their genetic ends. I need a minute, Imani said quietly. Alone, both of you, please. Imani, Sung-ho started. Please. Dr. Cho ushered both brothers out with professional firmness, closing the door behind them and leaving Imani in blessed silence. She pressed both hands to her belly, feeling the subtle movements beneath her skin. Baby A, she whispered to the daughter on her right. Ha-yoon, your father is Dae-jung. He's dangerous and possessive and probably incapable of real love, but he'll protect you with everything he has. Her hand moved to the left side of her belly. Baby B, me son. Your father is Sung-ho. He's gentler than his brother, but just as broken. He'll try to do right by you. Whether he succeeds... She trailed off, unable to finish. 2 daughters, 2 fathers, 1 impossible future. And somewhere in Seoul, Marcus was hunting. The rest of the morning passed in a blur of medical staff, vital checks, medication adjustments, and the crushing boredom of complete immobility. Lunch came and went. Food Imani barely tasted but forced herself to eat because the babies needed nutrition. Both brothers returned after Dr. Cho left, and the dynamic had shifted subtly. Now they weren't just two men competing for one woman. They were two fathers with distinct claims, distinct daughters, distinct stakes in her survival. "We need to discuss arrangements," Dae-jung said, settling into the chair Sung-ho had claimed the night before. Sung-ho took the couch without argument, as if they'd already negotiated this territorial division while she'd been alone. "Arrangements," Imani repeated flatly. "For after they're born. Custody, living situations. How we'll handle—" "They're not even viable yet and you're already planning custody battles?" Imani's voice rose despite her exhaustion. "I'm lying here trying to keep them alive for one more day, one more week, and you're thinking about how to divide them up like property? That's not what I meant. Then what did you mean?" She glared at him. "Because from where I'm lying, it sounds like you're already planning which daughter you get to take home and which one stays with your brother." "They're both staying with you," Sung-ho interjected quietly. "We're not separating them. Or you." "Oh, how generous. The dangerous crime lords will allow me to keep my own children." Imani's laugh was bitter. "Should I be grateful?" "You should be realistic," Dae-jung countered. "These babies will be targets the moment they're born. The prophecy alone guarantees that every syndicate in Korea will either want to control them or kill them. We need a plan to keep all three of you safe." The prophecy. Imani had almost forgotten about that particular nightmare in the chaos of the past 24 hours. "What prophecy?" she asked, though part of her didn't want to know. The brothers exchanged glances. Finally, Sung-ho spoke. "It's an old legend, a shaman's prediction from 40 years ago, about a child born of two fathers, of mixed blood, who would either unite or destroy the 5 major crime families of Korea." He leaned forward, elbows on his knees. "Our father took it seriously, so seriously that when it looked like it might come true in his generation, he took steps to prevent it." "What kind of steps?" "The kind that got people killed," Dae-jung said bluntly. "The kind that destroyed families. The kind that ensured no such child would be born during his lifetime." Imani's blood ran cold. "And now? Now you're carrying twins, daughters of 2 different brothers. A Black American woman with Korean heritage we didn't know about until recently." Sung-ho's expression was grim. "The prophecy specifically mentions blood mixed with blood from East and West. You're the East and West. We're the 2 fathers. The babies are—" "The fulfillment of the prophecy," Imani finished, horror washing through her. "You're saying my daughters are prophesied to either unite or destroy Korea's criminal underworld? Some people believe that, yes, and those people will try to kill them, or control them, or use them as leverage." Dae-jung stood, moved to the window. "Which is why we need a plan, why you can't just leave and raise them alone somewhere, why you need our protection whether you want it or not." The cage had just gotten smaller, tighter, more inescapable. "I hate you both," Imani whispered. "We know," they replied in unison. Before anyone could say more, the door burst open. Kyung-soo's massive frame filled the doorway, his usually impassive face showing genuine alarm. "Sir," he said to Dae-jung in Korean, then switched to English for Imani's benefit. "Security breach, ground floor. Someone bypassed the main checkpoint." Dae-jung was moving before Kyung-soo finished speaking, pulling a weapon from somewhere inside his suit jacket with practiced ease. Sung-ho was right behind him, his own weapon appearing as if by magic. "Lock this door," Dae-jung commanded Kyung-soo. "No one in or out except medical staff we've cleared, and stay with her." "What's happening?" Imani demanded, fear spiking through her. But both brothers were already gone, the door slamming shut behind them. Kyung-soo positioned himself in front of the door, his massive body a human shield, his expression carved from stone. And Imani lay frozen in her hospital bed, hand pressed to her belly, listening to the monitors beep their steady rhythm while somewhere in the building danger approached. Marcus had found her. The minutes stretched into eternity. Imani could hear nothing beyond the closed door except the monitor's steady beeping and her own ragged breathing. Kyung-soo stood motionless, a 6'3" wall of muscle and lethal training, his hand resting on the weapon at his hip. "What's happening out there?" Imani asked, hating the tremor in her voice. "Security is handling it, Miss Cross." Kyung-soo's accented English was calm, almost soothing. "You are safe." "That's not what I asked." Before he could respond, the lights in the hallway outside flickered. Once. Twice. Then went out completely, leaving only emergency lighting casting everything in an eerie red glow. Kyung-soo tensed, his weapon drawn now, pointed at the door. "That's not normal, is it?" Imani whispered. "No, Miss Cross, it is not." The monitors continued beeping, running on backup power. Outside the windows, Seoul's daylight seemed almost offensive in its normalcy, people going about their lives while Imani's world contracted to this room, this bed, this impossible danger. A sound in the hallway, footsteps, running. Kyung-soo shifted his stance, professional and deadly. "Get down as low as you can in the bed, cover your head." "I can't move." "Then stay very still and very quiet." The door handle rattled. Someone testing it. Finding it locked. Then the unmistakable sound of gunfire. 3 sharp cracks that made Imani flinch despite her inability to move. The lock mechanism shattered. Kyung-soo moved with shocking speed for a man his size, positioning himself directly in front of the door as it burst inward. 3 men in hospital staff uniforms flooded in, but their movements were all wrong, too precise, too tactical, former military. Imani recognized the bearing even before she saw the weapons, and behind them, Marcus Turner. He looked different from the last time she'd seen him. Thinner, harder. His light brown skin was marked with bruises and what looked like recent stitches along his jaw. His hazel eyes, once warm with love before obsession twisted him, now burned with something desperate and wild. "Imani," he breathed, taking a step into the room. Kyung-soo fired. The bullet caught one of Marcus's men in the shoulder, spinning him backward. The other 2 returned fire immediately, the sound deafening in the enclosed space. Kyung-soo didn't fall. A bullet tore through his side. Imani saw the blood bloom across his white shirt, but he stayed upright, firing again with methodical precision. The second mercenary went down with a bullet to the thigh, screaming. Marcus pulled his own weapon, but he wasn't aiming at Kyung-soo. He was aiming past him, at Imani. "Come with me now or I start shooting," Marcus said, his voice cracking with barely controlled emotion. "I didn't come all this way to leave without you." "She's not going anywhere." Kyung-soo's voice was steady despite the blood spreading across his torso. "You want her? You go through me. Then I go through you." Time seemed to slow. Marcus's finger tightened on the trigger. Kyung-soo moved to block, to put his massive body between the bullet and Imani's bed. The third mercenary, still standing, fired from the side. 3 things happened simultaneously. Kyung-soo took 2 more bullets, 1 to the chest, 1 to the shoulder, but still didn't fall. The door behind Marcus exploded inward as Dae-jung and Sung-ho arrived, weapons drawn, and Marcus grabbed the injured mercenary, using him as a human shield while backing toward the shattered window. "Nobody move!" Marcus screamed, his gun now pressed to the mercenary's head. "I'll kill him! I'll kill all of you!" "You're surrounded," Dae-jung said with deadly calm, his weapon trained on Marcus with unwavering precision. "There's no escape. Put down the gun." "I'm not leaving without her." Marcus's eyes found Imani's across the chaos. "Baby, I'm here. I came for you. These men have you trapped. They're using you." "But I'm going to save you." "I don't want to be saved," Imani shouted, her hands pressed protectively over her belly. "Not by you, never by you." The words hit Marcus like a physical blow. His face crumpled, that dangerous mix of love and madness warring in his expression. "You don't mean that. You're scared. They've brainwashed you." "I mean it, Marcus. You need to let me go. You need to leave Seoul and never come back." "I can't." His voice broke. "I've spent 18 months looking for you. 18 months of pain and searching and hoping. I can't just walk away. Then you're going to die, Sung-ho said quietly, his own weapon trained on Marcus from a different angle. Because we're not letting you take her. For a moment, everything hung in perfect, terrible balance. 4 men with guns. 1 wounded bodyguard still standing through sheer will, 1 pregnant woman unable to move, and the ghost of a love that had curdled into obsession. Then Kyung-soo made his choice. With a roar that seemed to come from somewhere deep and primal, he launched himself at Marcus. Not gracefully. His wounds made him slow, clumsy. But with enough force and determination that Marcus's human shield wasn't enough. They went down together in a tangle of limbs and violence. Dae-jung and Sung-ho couldn't shoot without risking Kyung-soo. They rushed forward instead, trying to pull Marcus away. In the chaos, Marcus's weapon discharged. Once, twice. Kyung-soo's massive body jerked. "No!" Imani screamed, unable to do anything but watch. Sung-ho finally got a grip on Marcus, hauling him backward with brutal efficiency. Dae-jung kicked the weapon away, then slammed his own gun into Marcus's temple hard enough to stun him. But Imani's eyes were on Kyung-soo. He lay on the floor, blood pooling beneath him in quantities that looked impossible. His chest was torn open from multiple gunshot wounds. His breathing was wet, labored, the sound of a punctured lung. Medical staff flooded in. Nurses, doctors, security personnel. The room became a controlled chaos of triage and restraint. Dae-jung knelt beside Kyung-soo, his usual composure cracking. "Hold on. The doctors are here. You're going to be fine." Kyung-soo's eyes found Imani's. He tried to speak, blood bubbling at his lips. "Don't talk," Imani begged, tears streaming down her face. "Please, just hold on." But Kyung-soo shook his head slightly. With tremendous effort, he forced words out. "Keep the babies safe. Miss Cross. We will, I promise. Please, honor. To serve." His eyes went unfocused. The terrible, wet breathing stopped. Kyung-soo, the massive, gentle bodyguard who'd shadowed her for months, who'd treated her with quiet respect, even when his boss treated her like property, who'd just thrown himself between her and bullets without hesitation, was dead. "No," Imani whispered. "No, no, no." But CPR from the medical team proved futile. Too many bullets, too much damage, too much blood loss. After 5 minutes, they called it. Time of death, 2:47 p.m. The room fell silent except for Imani's quiet sobs and the steady beeping of the monitors tracking 2 heartbeats that remained, oblivious to the violence that had just unfolded. Marcus was hauled to his feet by security, his face bleeding from where Dae-jung had struck him, his eyes still fixed on Imani with terrible, desperate love. "I'm sorry," he said as they dragged him toward the door. "Imani, I'm so sorry. I just loved you so much." "Get him out of here," Dae-jung said coldly. "Take him to the basement. I'll deal with him later." After Marcus and his surviving mercenaries were removed, after Kyung-soo's body was covered and carefully carried out, after the blood was cleaned and the broken door temporarily secured, Imani lay in her bed, shaking uncontrollably. "The babies," Dr. Cho said, rushing to check the monitors. "We need to make sure the stress didn't trigger labor." She did a quick ultrasound while Imani stared at nothing, seeing Kyung-soo's death over and over in her mind. "Both babies still have strong heartbeats," Dr. Cho confirmed. "No signs of distress." "You're not having contractions. Somehow they're okay." "He died for them," Imani whispered. "He died protecting them." "He died protecting you," Sung-ho corrected gently, standing beside her bed. His clothes were spattered with Kyung-soo's blood. That was his choice, his honor. "His choice because I'm trapped here. Because Marcus is obsessed with me. Because everything I touch turns to violence and death." Imani's voice rose hysterically. "He'd be alive if I'd never come to Seoul. If I'd never met any of you. If I'd just—" "Stop," Dae-jung commanded, his voice cutting through her spiral. He looked shaken. The first time Imani had ever seen him genuinely rattled. Kyung-soo knew the risks. He chose this life. He chose to protect you. Did he choose to die on a hospital floor at 28 years old? No one had an answer for that. Dr. Imani Cho administered a mild sedative despite Imani's protests. You need to calm down. The stress hormones aren't good for the babies. I know this is traumatic, but you have to try to stay calm. As the medication took effect, dulling the sharp edges of horror, Imani felt her eyelids growing heavy. What happens to Marcus? She asked, her words slurring. He'll be dealt with, Dae-jung said, and the coldness in his voice promised death. Don't kill him, Imani heard herself say, though she wasn't sure why. Maybe because enough people had died today, maybe because some part of her remembered the man Marcus had been before obsession destroyed him. Just make him leave. Make him go back to America. Make him understand it's over. Imani, please, no more death today. I can't handle any more death. She didn't hear their response. The sedative pulled her under into darkness, where Kyung-soo's last words echoed on repeat. Keep the babies safe, Miss Cross. She would. Somehow, despite everything, she would. Even if it cost her everything. Imani woke to darkness and the sound of rain against the windows. For a disoriented moment, she didn't remember where she was or what had happened. Then it all crashed back. The attack, the gunfire, Kyung-soo's body on the floor, Marcus's desperate eyes as they dragged him away. Her hand moved instinctively to her belly. The monitors still beeped their steady rhythm. Both daughters still alive, still growing, still oblivious to the violence that had erupted around them. You're awake, Sung-ho's voice came from the darkness near her bed. Imani turned her head to find him sitting in the chair, backlit by the soft glow of the city lights filtering through the rain-streaked windows. He'd changed clothes, the blood-spattered ones replaced by fresh black jeans and a dark sweater. His face looked haggard, older somehow. How long was I out? 4 hours. It's almost 7 p.m. He leaned forward, and she could see the exhaustion in his lighter brown eyes. How are you feeling? Like I watched a good man die because of me, Imani said flatly. Where's your brother? Dealing with Marcus. Sung-ho's jaw tightened. Despite your request for mercy. Alarm spiked through her. He's killing him, I said not to. He's not killing him. Yet. Sung-ho stood, moved to the window. But he's making his point clear. Marcus won't be bothering you again. What does that mean? Sung-ho was quiet for a long moment, rain shadows playing across his rugged features. It means Marcus is currently learning what happens to men who threaten what belongs to the Ri family. Dae-jung is being persuasive, but he'll live. You have my word on that. Imani didn't want to know the details, didn't want to imagine what Dae-jung's version of persuasive looked like. She'd seen enough violence for one day. Kyung-soo, she whispered. What happened to... His body was taken to the family shrine. We'll hold a proper funeral within the week. Sung-ho's voice carried genuine grief. He was with us for 7 years. Loyal, honorable. He deserved better than dying on a hospital floor. He died protecting me, protecting them. Imani's hand pressed harder against her belly. I didn't even know him that well. He was just... there. Always. And now he's gone because I brought danger here. You didn't bring danger. Marcus brought danger. Dae-jung brought danger by making you his in the first place. Sung-ho turned to face her. We're the ones who pulled you into this world. Kyung-soo knew what he signed up for. You didn't. The rain intensified, drumming against the windows like 1,000 tiny fingers demanding entry. Thunder rumbled in the distance. The babies, Imani said. Dr. Cho said they were okay after everything. But are they really? Can babies sense that kind of stress? According to Dr. Cho, they're fine. Heart rate's normal, movement normal. No signs of distress or early labor. Sung-ho returned to the chair beside her bed. You did everything right. Stayed calm as much as you could. Didn't move. The sedative helped. I don't feel like I did anything right. I feel like I'm failing them every second of every day. You're keeping them alive. That's not failing. A knock at the door. the newly installed reinforced door that now had 2 armed guards posted outside instead of just Kyung-soo's solitary presence. Nurse Park entered with a food tray, her expression professional but her eyes showing sympathy. "Dinner, Ms. Cross. Dr. Cho says you need to eat even if you don't feel like it." The smell of the food made Imani's stomach turn, but she forced herself to take the tray. Grilled fish, rice, vegetables, bland, nutritious, calculated to keep both her and the babies healthy. "Any news on the security upgrades?" Sung-ho asked the nurse in Korean, then caught himself and switched to English. "Sorry. Force of habit." "Mr. Ri has doubled the guards on this floor," Nurse Park replied. "No one enters or leaves without biometric verification. The windows have been reinforced, and there are now cameras in every hallway." She didn't mention how unusual it was to turn a maternity ward into a fortress, but her expression said it all. After she left, Imani picked at her food mechanically, tasting nothing. "You said Dae-jung is dealing with Marcus," she said quietly. "When will he be back?" "When he's satisfied the message has been received." Sung-ho's phone buzzed. He checked it, frowned. "Or sooner than expected. He's on his way up now." Sure enough, 5 minutes later, Dae-jung entered the room. He'd changed clothes too, a fresh suit, immaculate and expensive, no trace of the afternoon's violence. But his knuckles were swollen and split, and there was a coldness in his dark eyes that spoke of things Imani didn't want to know. "It's handled," he said without preamble. "Marcus is on a flight to Los Angeles in 3 hours. His mercenaries are in Korean custody. They'll be tried for attempted kidnapping, assault with deadly weapons, and murder. Marcus gets to leave because you asked for mercy. But if he ever sets foot in Korea again, mercy won't be an option." "What did you do to him?" Imani asked, though she wasn't sure she wanted the answer. "Made him understand the cost of obsession." Dae-jung moved to the window where Sung-ho had been standing, the 2 brothers unconsciously mirroring each other's positions. "He won't forget, and he won't come back." "You're sure?" "I'm sure." The certainty in Dae-jung's voice was absolute. "He knows that next time, I won't stop with broken bones." Imani closed her eyes, trying not to imagine Marcus broken and bleeding in some basement interrogation room, trying not to feel relief that he was gone mixed with guilt over what it had cost. "Kyung-soo's family," she said. Did he have anyone who needs to be notified?" "A mother in Busan, 2 younger sisters." Dae-jung's expression didn't change, but something shifted in his voice. "I've already sent word and made arrangements. They'll be taken care of. Financially. For life." It was the least he could do, and they all knew it. But it was something. The 3 of them sat in silence as the rain continued its assault on the windows, and Seoul's nighttime lights blurred into watercolor streaks. Imani forced herself to finish half the food on her tray before giving up. "The paternity results," she said finally, because the elephant in the room needed to be addressed. "Now that we know, what changes?" "Everything and nothing," Dae-jung replied. "Hayun is my daughter, Mi-soon is my brother's, but they're both under my protection, both part of this family. Biology changes the details, not the fundamental situation." "Which is that I'm trapped here carrying your children while you wage war against anyone who threatens your interests." "Yes." No apology, no softening, just brutal honesty. "And after they're born? What then?" The brothers exchanged glances, some silent communication passing between them. "That depends on several factors," Sung-ho said carefully. "How the rest of your pregnancy goes, whether complications arise, what threats emerge. But the plan, tentatively, is that you and both babies will live at the compound, under protection, with both of us present. So I go from one cage to another. You go from a hospital bed to a home," Dae-jung corrected, "with resources, security, and everything you and the babies need. Except freedom." "Freedom is overrated when people are trying to kill you," Imani laughed bitterly. "People are only trying to kill me because of you, Because of this prophecy nonsense. Because I made the mistake of getting involved with dangerous men. The prophecy isn't nonsense, Daijung said sharply. My father believed in it enough to kill to prevent it. Other families believe in it enough to want your daughters dead or under their control. You can dismiss it all you want, but the threat is real. Then tell me about it. All of it. Not just fragments. Imani shifted in the bed, trying to find a position that didn't make her feel like a beached whale. If my daughters are supposedly going to unite or destroy Korea's underworld, I deserve to know the full story. Another glance between the brothers. Then Sung-ho pulled his chair closer and began to speak. 40 years ago, there was a shaman named Park Seo-yeon. She was famous in certain circles, the kind of circles our father moved in. Crime families, politicians, businessmen who wanted to know their futures. He steepled his hands, his expression distant with memory. She predicted many things. Most came true, some didn't, but one prediction became legendary. The prophecy about my daughters. About a child, she said child, singular, but with twins it still applies, born of 2 fathers and 1 mother. Mixed blood from east and west, who would either unite the 5 great families of Korea or burn them all to ash. Sung-ho's eyes met hers. Our father was terrified of this prophecy. He'd seen what happened when families went to war, the bloodshed, the destruction. He didn't want to risk it. So he made sure it couldn't happen, Daejung continued. Any woman who could potentially fulfill the prophecy, mixed heritage, connections to multiple families, was either paid off to leave Korea or... He trailed off. Or killed. Imani finished, horror creeping through her. Yes, my father wasn't a good man. He did terrible things to prevent what he saw as a greater evil. Daejung's hand clenched on the windowsill. But he died 2 years ago, and now the prophecy has come true anyway. You're Black American with Korean heritage we didn't know about. You've been with both of us. You're carrying daughters who technically have 2 fathers. And the 5 families know about this? Not all of them. Not yet. But word is spreading. Sung-ho leaned forward. Which is why security is so tight. Why we can't let you leave. Why every threat has to be neutralized permanently. Like Marcus. Like Marcus. Imani pressed both hands to her belly, feeling the subtle movements of her daughters. 2 lives that were supposedly destined for greatness or destruction. 2 babies who would either save or doom an entire criminal underworld. What if I don't want this for them? She asked quietly. What if I want them to have normal lives? To go to school and make friends and date boys and worry about college? Not about fulfilling ancient prophecies or uniting crime syndicates? Then you're going to be disappointed, Daejung said bluntly. Because the moment they're born, they become targets, symbols, pieces in a game much larger than any of us. We can protect them, raise them, love them, but we can't make them normal. The words hung in the air like a death sentence. I hate this, Imani whispered. I hate all of this. We know, the brothers said in unison. Before anyone could say more, Imani's body tensed, a sensation, not quite pain, but pressure, tightening across her abdomen. What is it? Sung-ho was on his feet instantly. I'm not sure. Another wave of tightening, stronger this time. Oh God, is this labor? Daejung was at the door shouting for Dr. Cho before Imani finished the sentence. The doctor arrived within minutes, her professional calm never wavering even as she examined Imani with quick efficiency. Braxton Hicks contractions, she announced after checking the monitors. Practice contractions, not real labor. But your body is stressed from today's events. We're going to give you medications to calm your uterus and prevent these from progressing. Are the babies okay? Imani asked, fear making her voice shake. Both heartbeats are strong, no signs of distress. Dr. Cho adjusted the IV, adding medication. But you need to rest, really rest. No more stress, no more excitement, no more attacks by obsessed ex-boyfriends. That last part was directed at both brothers with pointed emphasis. It won't happen again, Daejung promised. See that it doesn't. because next time we might not be so lucky. Dr. Cho made notes on her tablet. I'm putting you on more intensive monitoring, every 4 hours instead of every 6, and I want you on complete bed rest, even more restrictive than before. Minimal talking, minimal movement, maximum rest. After she left, Imani lay back against the pillows, exhausted beyond measure. You should both leave, she said. I need sleep. Real sleep. Not sedative-induced unconsciousness, but actual rest. We're not leaving you unguarded, Daejong said. Then sit there silently. But stop talking. Stop planning. Stop telling me about prophecies and threats and futures I can't control. She closed her eyes. Just let me sleep. The room fell quiet except for the rain and the monitor's steady beeping. Imani felt herself drifting, consciousness slipping away like water through her fingers. But just before sleep claimed her, she heard Sung-ho's voice, barely a whisper. I'm sorry for all of this, for my part in it, for what's coming. She wanted to respond, to say something bitter or kind or true, but exhaustion won, pulling her down into darkness where 2 daughters swam in too little fluid, waiting to be born into a world that would never let them be normal. And in the morning, Imani would wake to discover that today's attack was only the beginning. The real threats were still gathering, and time was running out. Morning arrived with pale gray light and the smell of hospital disinfectant that no amount of expensive decor could mask. Imani woke to find both brothers asleep in their respective territories. Daejong sprawled on the leather couch with his suit jacket draped over his lean frame like a blanket. Sung-ho slumped in the chair beside her bed, his head tilted at an angle that would leave his neck aching for hours. For a moment, she just watched them, these dangerous men who'd turned her life into chaos, who'd manipulated her into pregnancy, trapped her between them, made her the center of ancient prophecies and modern violence, who'd also protected her with every resource at their disposal, grieved for the man who'd died defending her, and looked at her growing belly with something that might have been love if either of them knew what that word truly meant. The monitors beeped their steady rhythm. Both daughters still alive, still growing, still oblivious to the complicated mess of their conception and the dangerous future awaiting them. You're awake, Sung-ho murmured without opening his eyes. I can tell by your breathing. Creepy that you notice that. Protective. He finally opened his eyes, wincing as he straightened his neck. How are you feeling? Like I'm trapped in a hospital bed that I can't leave for potentially months while the world tries to kill me and my babies. Imani's hand moved to her belly automatically. So, the usual. A ghost of a smile crossed Sung-ho's rugged features. Fair enough. On the couch, Daejong stirred, coming awake with the instant alertness of someone trained for danger. His dark eyes found Imani first, scanning her face for signs of distress, then moved to the monitors to check the baby's heartbeats. Any contractions overnight? He asked, sitting up and running his hand through his perfect hair, the only sign of his night spent on a couch. None that I noticed. But I was unconscious for most of it, so who knows? A knock at the door, one of the new guards checking before allowing entry. Then Nurse Park entered with her usual efficient kindness, bringing breakfast and the morning routine of humiliation that was Imani's new normal. Good morning, Ms. Cross. Let's get you cleaned up and fed, then Dr. Cho will be by for rounds. She glanced at both brothers pointedly. Gentlemen, if you could step out for a few minutes. They left reluctantly, and Imani endured another sponge bath, another bedpan, another reminder that she'd lost control of even her most basic bodily functions. By the time Nurse Park finished and the brothers returned, Imani felt raw and exhausted despite having just woken up. Dr. Kim will be here at 10 a.m. for your psychological evaluation, Nurse Park said as she arranged Imani's breakfast tray. She's excellent, very understanding. I don't need a psychologist. Dr. Cho says you do, which means you do. Nurse Park's smile was sympathetic but firm. Extended bed rest with high-risk pregnancy is one of the most mentally challenging situations a woman can face. Talking to someone helps. After she left, Imani picked at her breakfast while trying not to think about the afternoon before, but Kyung-soo's death kept replaying in her mind. His massive body taking bullets that were meant for her, his last words about protecting the babies, the light leaving his eyes. "Stop," Dae-jung said quietly. "I can see you spiraling. A man died yesterday because of me. A man died yesterday because he chose to protect you. Honor that choice by staying alive and keeping those babies safe." Dae-jung moved to stand beside her bed. "Guilt is useless. Survival is what matters." "Easy for you to say. You're not the one stuck in bed feeling responsible for—" "I'm the one who hired him," Dae-jung interrupted, his voice harder now. "I'm the one who positioned him at your door. I'm the one whose intelligence failed to predict Marcus's attack method. If anyone bears responsibility for Kyung-soo's death, it's me." The raw honesty in his voice surprised Imani. She looked up at him, really looked, and saw something that might have been genuine grief beneath his usual cold control. "You cared about him," she said softly. "He was loyal, competent, honorable. Those qualities are rare." Dae-jung's jaw tightened. "And now he's gone because I underestimated your ex-boyfriend's desperation." "Marcus wasn't always like that," Imani heard herself say. "When I first met him, he was kind, funny. We'd talk for hours about everything and nothing. He wanted to travel the world, write a book, make a difference. He was—" She trailed off, unable to finish. "He was broken," Sung-ho said quietly. "Some people shatter in ways that can't be fixed. The military service, whatever he saw, whatever he survived, it damaged something fundamental. Then he fixated on you as the solution to that damage. And when I left, I became the problem. You were never the problem. His inability to let go was the problem." The conversation was interrupted by Dr. Cho's arrival for morning rounds. She did her usual efficient examination, ultrasound, vital checks, medication review, while maintaining her professional calm. "Both babies measuring appropriately for 23 weeks, 4 days, she announced, studying the ultrasound images. "Heartbeat strong at 154 and 149. No signs of distress despite yesterday's events. You're doing everything right, Imani." "I'm lying here doing nothing." "You're keeping them alive. That's not nothing." Dr. Cho wiped the gel from Imani's belly. "I know yesterday was traumatic. The attack, Kyung-soo's death, the stress. It's normal to feel overwhelmed. That's why Dr. Kim is visiting today." "The psychologist?" "Yes. And I've also arranged for you to video call with your friend in Los Angeles. Maya, correct? She's been calling the hospital trying to reach you." Imani's heart clenched. Maya, her friend who'd flown across the world looking for her months ago, who'd offered help and support, who represented the life Imani had left behind. "I can talk to her?" "For 30 minutes at 2 p.m. The call will be monitored for security purposes, but you'll have privacy." Dr. Cho made notes on her tablet. "Maintaining connections to people who care about you is important for mental health." After Dr. Cho left, Imani felt something like hope flutter in her chest. Talking to Maya, hearing a voice that didn't belong to this world of violence and prophecies and dangerous men. "The call will be monitored," Dae-jung reminded her, as if she'd forgotten. "You can't tell her anything that compromises security." "I know. And you can't make plans to—" "I know, Dae-jung. I'm not stupid." Imani glared at him. "I'm not going to jeopardize my babies by doing something reckless. But I need to talk to someone who isn't you or your brother or a medical professional. Someone who knew me before all of this." He studied her face for a long moment, then nodded once. 30 minutes, no more. The morning dragged by with excruciating slowness. Time moved differently when you couldn't move, when every hour was marked only by monitor checks and medication doses and the slow progress of sun across the floor. At 10 a.m. sharp, Dr. Kim arrived. She was younger than Imani expected, maybe early 40s, with kind eyes behind designer glasses and an air of calm competence. She pulled up a chair beside Imani's bed while both brothers retreated to give them privacy. "I'm Dr. Kim Soo-jin," she said in perfect English. I specialize in perinatal psychology, the mental health challenges that come with high-risk pregnancy and extended hospitalization. Dr. Cho thought we should talk. She thinks I'm losing it. She thinks you're under extraordinary stress and could use support. There's a difference." Dr. Kim settled into her chair with easy grace. "Tell me how you're feeling. Really feeling, not what you think I want to hear." Imani was quiet for a moment. Then the words came spilling out. "I'm terrified. Every second of every day. I'm terrified the babies will die. That I'll go into labor too early and watch them struggle and fail. That even if they survive, they'll have disabilities or health problems because of me. I'm terrified of being trapped in this bed for months, of losing my mind from boredom and helplessness. I'm terrified of the men who claim to love me, but really just want to possess me. Of the prophecy that makes my daughters targets before they're even born. Of the violence that follows me everywhere." She took a shaky breath. "Yesterday, a good man died protecting me. He threw himself on bullets that were meant for me and my babies. And all I can think is that it's my fault. That if I'd never come to Seoul, if I'd never gotten involved with these men, if I'd just stayed in my boring life in Los Angeles, Kyung-soo would still be alive." Dr. Kim listened without interrupting, her expression showing understanding without pity. "Those are all valid fears," she said when Imani finished, "and it's healthy that you're acknowledging them rather than suppressing them. But I want you to consider something. Most of what you just described is outside your control. The baby's survival, the men's behavior, the prophecy, the violence. You didn't choose any of that. I chose to get pregnant. I stopped taking my birth control to trap Dae-jung. That was my choice. And he deliberately got you pregnant to trap you, so you were both manipulating each other. That doesn't make you responsible for everything that came after." Dr. Kim leaned forward slightly. "Imani, you're in an impossible situation. 2 high-risk babies at 23 weeks with ruptured membranes. Complete bed rest for potentially months. Threats from multiple sources. A complicated relationship with 2 men who are themselves complicated. Anyone in your situation would feel overwhelmed. So what do I do? You focus on what you can control. Your thoughts, your responses to stress, your relationship with these babies." Dr. Kim gestured to Imani's belly. "Have you been talking to them? Bonding with them?" "Sometimes. When I'm alone." "Do it more. They can hear you. Studies show that maternal voice recognition begins in utero. Tell them about yourself, about your hopes for them, about your grandmother, your life, your dreams. Make them real to you, not just medical statistics on a monitor." The idea made something shift in Imani's chest. "What if I bond with them and then lose them? Then you'll grieve, but at least you'll have had that connection, however brief." Dr. Kim's voice was gentle but honest. "You can't protect yourself from loss by refusing to love. That just guarantees you lose twice, once when they're gone, and once because you never let yourself feel what you had." They talked for another 30 minutes, about coping strategies, about mindfulness techniques, about the difference between productive worry and destructive spiraling. By the time Dr. Kim left, Imani felt marginally better, not fixed, but maybe slightly less broken. The brothers returned, both looking at her with expressions that might have been concern. "How was it?" Sung-ho asked. "Helpful, probably." Imani shifted slightly, trying to find a position that didn't make her hip ache. "She wants me to talk to the babies more, bond with them." "You should," Dae-jung said. "They're your daughters." "Our daughters," Sung-ho corrected. "All of us." Before the familiar argument could start, lunch arrived. Imani ate mechanically while watching Seoul's midday traffic through the windows, wondering what it would be like to be down there. Free, mobile, not trapped in a bed waiting for time to pass. At 2 p.m. exactly, Nurse Park returned with a tablet. "Your video call with Ms. Chen is ready. I'll give you privacy, but remember, 30 minutes maximum, and the call is being monitored for security." She set up the tablet on a mobile stand positioned so Imani could see the screen, then left with both brothers. Imani's hand shook slightly as she pressed the accept button. Maya's face filled the screen, beautiful, concerned, and so heartbreakingly familiar that Imani nearly started crying immediately. "Oh my God, Imani," Maya breathed, taking in Imani's appearance. "You look exhausted." "I look like someone who's been on hospital bed rest for 2 days and can't move." Imani tried for a smile. "But I'm alive. The babies are alive." "That's something." "I saw the news. About the hospital attack. They're not naming victims, but I knew." Maya's voice cracked. "I knew you were there. I've been calling constantly. They finally let me through. Security's tight. Everything's tight. I can't even go to the bathroom by myself." They talked for precious minutes about nothing and everything, about Maya's life in LA, about mutual friends, about the weather and movies and all the normal things that felt surreal from Imani's current prison. "Are you okay?" Maya finally asked. "Really okay?" "Because you can tell me the truth. I can help if you need help." Imani wanted to scream yes. She needed help. She needed rescue. She needed someone to extract her from this nightmare. But she looked at the monitor showing 2 heartbeats, thought about what would happen if she tried to leave, remembered Kyung-soo's sacrifice. "I'm making it work," she said instead. "It's complicated and messy, but I'm surviving." "That's not the same as being okay." "No, but it's the best I can do right now." They talked until the 30-minute timer expired. Maya made Imani promise to call again soon, to stay safe, to remember she had people who cared about her outside this hospital room. After the call ended, Imani felt both better and worse. Better for the connection, worse for the reminder of everything she'd lost. The afternoon blurred into evening. Dinner came and went, the sunset over Seoul in shades of orange and purple. The monitors beeped their endless rhythm, and as night fell, Imani lay in the darkness and finally did what Dr. Kim had suggested. She placed both hands on her belly and started talking. "Ha-yoon," she whispered to the daughter on her right. "Your name means summer grace. Your father is Dae-jung. He's dangerous and controlling and probably incapable of real love, but he'll protect you with everything he has. He'll give you the world if you ask for it. Just be careful what you wish for." Her hand moved to the left side of her belly. "Mi-sun, your name means beautiful goodness. Your father is Sung-ho. He's gentler than his brother but just as broken. He'll try to do right by you. Whether he succeeds, we'll find out together." Both hands spread across her entire belly now. "I don't know what kind of mother I'll be to you. I'm trapped and scared and probably making terrible decisions, but I promise you this, I will fight for you. I will keep you safe, and I will love you, even when loving you terrifies me." Subtle movements beneath her hands, not kicks yet, they were too small for that, but flutters. Responses. Her daughters, hearing her voice, responding to her touch. For the first time since her water had broken, Imani felt something that might have been peace. It didn't last. The peace lasted exactly 4 hours. At midnight, Imani woke to cramping, not the Braxton Hicks practice contractions from before, but something sharper, more insistent, a tightening that started low in her pelvis and radiated outward like warning bells. She lay very still, counting seconds between waves of tightness, 30 seconds apart, then 25, then 20. "No," she whispered to her belly. "Not yet. Please, not yet. You're not ready." But her body didn't care about readiness. The next contraction was strong enough to make her gasp, her hand flying to the call button. Nurse Park appeared within seconds, took one look at Imani's face, and immediately checked the monitors. "Your uterus is contracting," she confirmed, her calm voice belying the urgency in her movements. "Every 20 seconds. I'm calling Dr. Cho." "It's too early," Imani said, fear making her voice shake. "They can't come now. 23 weeks is too early. We're going to stop it," Nurse Park assured her, already adjusting the IV, adding medications. "This is why you're here, so we can intervene immediately." Both brothers materialized from wherever they'd been, Dae-jung from the hallway where he'd been on the phone, Sung-ho from the small bathroom where he'd been washing up. Both looked alert despite the late hour. "What's happening?" Dae-jung demanded. "Regular contractions. We're treating them." Nurse Park's hands moved with practiced efficiency. "Mr. Ri, Please step back and let me work." Dr. Cho arrived 5 minutes later, her hair in a messy bun, her professional demeanor firmly in place despite clearly having been woken from sleep. "How far apart?" she asked Nurse Park. "Started at 30 seconds, now at 15 and strengthening." "Magnesium sulfate?" "Already running." Dr. Cho did a quick examination while Imani tried not to scream as another contraction gripped her. The doctor's face remained neutral, but Imani saw the concern in her eyes. "Your cervix is starting to change," Dr. Cho said quietly. "Not dilating yet, but softening, effacing. Your body is preparing for labor." "Stop it," Imani begged. "Please, whatever it takes, stop it. That's what we're trying to do." Dr. Cho adjusted medication dosages, speaking in rapid Korean to Nurse Park. "The magnesium should slow the contractions. We're also giving you terbutaline to relax the uterine muscle. But I need you to stay absolutely calm. Stress makes this worse." "How am I supposed to stay calm when I'm going into labor at 23 weeks? "By trusting that we know what we're doing." Dr. Cho's hand found Imani's, squeezed gently. "I've stopped premature labor hundreds of times. This is manageable, but you have to work with me." For the next 2 hours, the hospital room became a controlled chaos of medical intervention. Medications dripped into Imani's IV. Monitors tracked every contraction, every heartbeat, every vital sign. Dr. Cho and her team hovered, adjusting, recalculating, fighting to keep 2 tiny lives inside a body that wanted to expel them. The magnesium made Imani feel strange, hot and flushed, her skin prickling with uncomfortable warmth. The terbutaline made her heart race, pounding so hard she could feel it in her throat. But slowly, agonizingly slowly, the contractions began to space out. 20 seconds apart, 30, 45, a full minute. "It's working," Dr. Cho said at 2:47 a.m., the relief evident in her voice. "Your uterus is calming down." By 3:30 a.m., the contractions had stopped completely. Imani lay exhausted and shaking, her hand pressed to her belly where both daughters still moved, still fought to stay alive. "That was close," Dr. Cho said quietly, checking the monitors one final time. "Too close. We need to be more aggressive with your care. I'm increasing your medications, putting you on an even stricter monitoring schedule and—" She glanced at both brothers. "Limiting visitors. Stress is a trigger. This room needs to be calm and quiet." "We're not leaving," Dae-jung said. "Then you need to be calm and quiet." Dr. Cho's tone brooked no argument. "No arguments, no business discussions, no drama. This is a medical environment now, not a family gathering. Ms. Cross needs rest and peace, or we'll be having this conversation again. And next time, we might not be able to stop it." After the medical team left and the room fell quiet again, Imani found herself staring at the ceiling, unable to sleep despite her exhaustion. "You should rest," Sung-ho said softly from his chair. "I almost lost them," Imani whispered. "I almost lost both of them." "But you didn't. Dr. Cho stopped it. This time." "What about next time? What about the time after that?" Her voice cracked. "I can't do this. I can't lie here for weeks or months, never knowing if the next contraction will be the one that won't stop." Dae-jung moved to stand beside her bed, his expression unreadable in the dim light. "You can, because you have to, because they need you to." "What if I'm not strong enough?" "You are." His hand found hers, large and warm and surprisingly gentle. "You survived me. You survived Marcus. You'll survive this." It wasn't comfort, exactly, but it was honest. And somehow, in this moment, that mattered more. Dawn came with harsh fluorescent light and the arrival of Imani's breakfast tray. She'd managed maybe 2 hours of fitful sleep, jolting awake every time she felt anything that might have been a contraction, but her uterus remained quiet. The medications doing their job, the babies still safe inside her. "You look terrible," Ji-yeon said as she entered with fresh linens. Imani blinked in surprise. "You're working here?" "Mr. Ri assigned me to your care team. Ji-yeon kept her eyes down, her pregnancy-rounded belly evident under her scrubs. I'm 7 months now, still allowed to work. He thought maybe you'd want a familiar face. The woman who'd betrayed her to Marcus, who'd fed information that led to the attack, who carried Dae-jung's third daughter, now assigned to help her through this nightmare. I can request a different nurse, Ji-yeon said quickly, seeing Imani's expression. I understand if you don't want me here. Imani was quiet for a long moment, studying the younger woman's face. Ji-yeon looked exhausted, grief-stricken, and genuinely remorseful. Stay, Imani heard herself say, but if you betray me again, I won't. I swear on my baby's life, I won't. Ji-yeon's hand moved to her own belly. What I did was unforgivable. I know that, but please let me try to make it right. You can start by telling me the truth. All of it. Why did you help Marcus? Ji-yeon set down the linens and pulled up a chair, her movements slow and careful. I loved him, she said simply, gesturing to where Dae-jung had stepped out to take a phone call. Mr. Ri, I've loved him for 3 years, since he hired me to manage the household. He was kind to me once when my family was in trouble. He saved us, and I fell in love with him. And then I showed up. And then you showed up, pregnant, beautiful, taking all his attention. Ji-yeon's voice was bitter. He barely looked at me anymore. All he talked about was you and the babies. I became invisible. So you contacted Marcus. He found me first. He'd been watching the compound, trying to figure out how to get to you. He approached me when I was grocery shopping, offered me money to tell him your schedule, your routines. Ji-yeon's eyes filled with tears. I thought if you were gone, Mr. Ri would see me again, would remember that night we had together, would care about our baby. That's incredibly stupid. I know. Ji-yeon wiped her eyes. I know that now. After the attack, after what happened to Kyung-soo, after I realized that Marcus wasn't trying to save you, he was trying to own you, just like Mr. Ri does, I understood how wrong I was. And your baby? When is she due? 6 weeks? Early February. Ji-yeon's hand moved protectively over her belly. Mr. Ri says he'll acknowledge her, provide for her, but he won't. He doesn't love me. He probably never will. No, Imani agreed. He probably won't. Men like Dae-jung don't know how to love. They only know how to possess. And yet you're here, carrying his daughter, trapped in this bed. Because I have no choice. Because my babies need me to survive this. Not because I love him. But even as Imani said it, she wondered if it was true. Did she love Dae-jung? Did she love Sung-ho? Or was she just Stockholm syndromed into thinking she cared about her captors? Ji-yeon finished changing the linens, a complex process that involved Imani barely moving while fresh sheets were slipped beneath her, and then stood to leave. I'll be back this afternoon to help you bathe, she said, and Ms. Cross, I really am sorry, for everything. After she left, Sung-ho returned from wherever he'd been and settled into his usual chair. You're letting her help you, he observed. After what she did, she's pregnant and desperate and stupid. I can relate to at least 2 of those things. Imani adjusted her position slightly, trying to ease the ache in her hip from lying in one position for so long. Besides, she's genuinely remorseful. That's more than I can say for most people in my life right now. Fair point. Sung-ho was quiet for a moment then. Imani, I need to tell you something about what happens next. Dread pooled in her stomach. What? The 5 families. They know about the babies now, about the paternity results, about the prophecy. He leaned forward, his expression grave. Word spreads fast in our world, and they're going to want to negotiate. Negotiate what? Control, access, influence over your daughter's futures. He ran his hand through his short hair. Some families will want an alliance, some will want to eliminate the threat, some will want to take the babies and raise them in their own households to ensure the prophecy works in their favor. over my dead body. That's what they're counting on, that you'll refuse, that you'll be a problem they need to eliminate. Ice flooded Imani's veins. They want to kill me and take my babies? Some of them, yes. Others just want leverage. Want to make sure that when your daughters grow up, they remember who helped their mother during her most vulnerable time. This is insane. They're not even born yet. The prophecy has been waiting 40 years to be fulfilled. Now that it's happening, everyone wants a piece of it. Sung-ho's lighter brown eyes were troubled. Dae-jung and we can protect you to a point, but there are 5 major families, each with resources and reach that rival ours. United, they'd overwhelm us. Then what do? We're working on that. There's a possibility of an alliance with one of the families, the Golden Tiger clan. Their leader has been reaching out. Before Imani could ask more, the door opened and Dae-jung returned, followed by someone Imani had never seen before. The stranger was tall, 6 feet easily, with the same sharp bone structure as the Ri brothers, the same intense eyes, though his were a shade lighter. He wore an expensive suit with the same easy confidence Dae-jung did, and he moved with predatory grace that spoke of danger beneath the polished exterior. "Imani," Dae-jung said, his voice carefully neutral. "This is Choi Min-woo, leader of the Golden Tiger Syndicate." He paused. "And our half-brother." The room went silent except for the monitor's steady beeping. Imani stared at the stranger, at this third brother she'd never known existed, and felt her already complicated world tilt even further into chaos. "Half-brother?" she managed. Min-woo smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. "Our father had many secrets. I was one of them." His English was perfect, barely accented. Born to a Japanese woman from a rival clan, abandoned when that clan was destroyed, raised as an orphan in Tokyo. And now you're here because the prophecy mentions your daughters, because I have as much claim to family protection as these 2 do. Min-woo moved closer to the bed, and Imani saw Sung-ho tense. "And because I'm offering an alliance that could keep you and your babies alive." "What kind of alliance?" "The kind where 3 brothers united become stronger than 5 families divided." Min-woo's gaze moved to Imani's belly with undisguised interest. "Your daughters could unite the Korean underworld, or they could be killed before they take their first breath. Which future would you prefer?" Imani looked between the 3 men, 3 sons of Lee Tae-won, each dangerous in their own way, each claiming some right to protect her and her babies. "I don't want an alliance," she said quietly. "I want to be left alone." "That's not an option anymore," Min-woo replied. "The moment your water broke, the clock started ticking. The families are moving, planning, making decisions about your daughters' futures. You can either accept our help, or you can face them alone." "She's not alone," Dae-jung said coldly. "She has me." "She has us," Sung-ho corrected, "and now she has all 3 of us." Min-woo's smile was sharp. "Whether she wants it or not." Imani closed her eyes, feeling the weight of too many dangerous men, too many claims on her future, too many prophecies and alliances and threats. "I need you all to leave," she said. "Now, all 3 of you. I can't breathe with you all in here." "Imani," Dae-jung started. "Now." Dr. Cho appeared in the doorway as if summoned by Imani's distress. "Everyone out, immediately. Miss Gan. Cross's blood pressure is spiking. You're literally stressing her into another premature labor crisis." The 3 brothers filed out reluctantly, Min-woo pausing to give Imani one last assessing look before leaving. Alone with Dr. Cho, Imani felt hot tears streaming down her face. "I can't do this," she whispered. "It's too much. Too many threats. Too many people wanting something from me. Too many—" "Breathe," Dr. Cho commanded gently. "In through your nose, out through your mouth. Focus on your daughters, not on the chaos outside this room." Imani tried to focus on the 2 heartbeats on the monitor, tried to remember why she was enduring this nightmare, but all she could think was that this was only day 3, and she had weeks or months ahead of her, trapped in this bed, at the mercy of dangerous men who claimed to protect her while slowly suffocating her with their wars and prophecies and impossible demands. "I want to talk to my grandmother," she said suddenly. "Rose, in Chicago. Can you arrange a call?" Dr. Cho hesitated. "I'll see what I can do. But Ms. Cross, you need to understand, your stress levels are critical. Another episode like last night, and we might not be able to stop the labor. You need to find a way to stay calm. Then get everyone out of my room and my life and let me rest. I'll do what I can." After Dr. Cho left, Imani lay in the crushing silence, her hands on her belly, talking to the 2 lives that depended on her survival. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I'm so sorry you're going to be born into this mess. I'm sorry your fathers are dangerous men. I'm sorry there's a prophecy and families who want to control you. I'm sorry for all of it." Subtle movements beneath her hands, her daughters responding, still alive, still fighting. "But I promise you this, I won't let them make you into weapons. I won't let them use you for their wars. Somehow, some way, I'll find a way to give you a choice." Outside the window, Seoul lived and breathed, oblivious to the small war being waged in a hospital room where a woman fought to keep 2 prophecy-laden babies alive against impossible odds. And somewhere in the building, 3 dangerous brothers planned how to keep their family, such as it was, from being destroyed before it even began. The call with Rose came through at 4 p.m. that afternoon. Dr. Cho had arranged it personally. Citing medical necessity, Imani's blood pressure and stress levels required intervention, and sometimes the best medicine was connection to someone who genuinely cared. 15 minutes, Dr. Cho said as she set up the tablet. "That's all I can authorize. And, Ms. Cross, please try to keep the conversation positive. Your grandmother doesn't need to know every detail of your current situation." Imani nodded, though they both knew that was impossible. Rose would know something was wrong the moment she saw her granddaughter's face. The screen connected, and there she was, Rose Washington, 73 years old and still beautiful, her silver hair styled in elegant curls, her dark eyes sharp with intelligence and concern behind her reading glasses. She sat in what Imani recognized as the living room of her Chicago bungalow, afternoon light streaming through lace curtains. "Baby girl," Rose breathed, her hand flying to her mouth. "Oh, baby girl, what's happened to you?" Just seeing her, the only person who'd ever loved Imani unconditionally, broke something in Imani's carefully maintained composure. Tears spilled down her cheeks. "Grandma," she whispered, "I'm in trouble." "I can see that. Are you in a hospital? Are you hurt?" "I'm pregnant. With twins. 23 weeks. My water broke 2 days ago and I'm on complete bed rest, trying to keep them alive for as long as possible." The words tumbled out in a rush. "And the fathers are... It's complicated. There are 2 of them. Brothers. And I'm trapped here and people are trying to kill me and... Slow down." Rose's voice carried that particular tone of command that had guided Imani through every crisis of her childhood. "Take a breath. Start from the beginning." So Imani did. Not everything. She couldn't tell her about the criminal empire, the prophecy, the full extent of the danger. But enough. The affair with Daijung, the night with Sung Ho, the pregnancy that bound her to both brothers, the attack yesterday that left a man dead, the constant threat that kept her prisoner. Rose listened without interrupting, her expression moving through shock, anger, concern, and finally settling into something that looked like grim understanding. "These men," Rose said when Imani finished, "their family name is Ri?" "Yes, how did you... What's their father's name?" "Was his name Lee Tae-wan?" Imani's breath caught. "He died 2 years ago, but yes, that was him." "How do you know that name?" Rose was quiet for a long moment, her dark eyes distant with memory. When she spoke again, her voice carried the weight of secrets long buried. "I lived in Seoul once, 1979 to 1982. I was young, just 24, and running from a bad situation in Chicago. I got a teaching position at an international school." Rose removed her glasses, rubbed her eyes. "I met a man there, a Korean man. He was beautiful and dangerous. and I should have known better. But I was lonely and far from home, and he made me feel seen. Grandma, Lee Tae-wan. We had an affair, passionate, consuming, the kind that burns hot and fast. Rose's smile was sad. I got pregnant. He was thrilled at first, said he loved me, wanted to marry me despite his family's objections, but then I miscarried at 15 weeks, and everything changed. Imani felt the world tilt. You were pregnant by their father? I was pregnant by their father, which means, baby girl, that you have Korean blood you never knew about. My first husband, your grandfather, he was Korean American. I never told you because after I lost that baby and came back to Chicago, I wanted to forget that part of my life. Wanted to pretend it never happened. The implications crashed over Imani like a wave. She wasn't just carrying babies for 2 Korean brothers. She herself was part Korean. The prophecy's words echoed in her mind. Blood mixed with blood from east and west. The prophecy, she whispered. That's why this is happening. Because of you. Because of what you and Taiwan... What prophecy? Rose's voice sharpened. Imani told her about the shaman's prediction, about children born of 2 fathers who would unite or destroy the 5 families, about how her daughters were supposedly destined to fulfill this 40-year-old prophecy. Rose's face went pale. Taewon mentioned that, the prophecy. He was terrified of it. He said that's why he sent me away after I miscarried, because a shaman had warned him that a child of mixed blood born to multiple fathers would bring either peace or destruction to the underworld families. She leaned closer to the screen. Imani, listen to me very carefully. That prophecy destroyed lives. Taewon became paranoid about it. He did terrible things to prevent it from coming true. What kind of things? The kind that got women killed. Women who could potentially fulfill the prophecy, mixed heritage, connections to multiple families. He paid some to leave Korea. Others... Rose's voice trailed off. Others disappeared. I only heard rumors afterward. But baby girl, if that prophecy is known, if people believe your daughters are the fulfillment of it, you're in more danger than you realize. I know. There was an attack yesterday. My bodyguard died protecting me. Then you need to get out of there, leave Seoul, come back to Chicago where I can't move, Grandma. My water broke. I'm on complete bed rest. If I try to leave, the babies will die. I'm trapped here for weeks or months and there's nothing I can do about it. Rose's expression showed the helplessness they both felt. Then those men, those brothers, they need to keep you safe. They owe you that much. They're trying. But there are threats from multiple directions, crime families who want to control the babies, ex-boyfriend who's obsessed with me, and now a 3rd brother appeared, another son of Taiwan, who wants to form an alliance. A 3rd brother? Rose's eyes widened. From his marriage to the Japanese woman? The boy who was supposed to have died when her family was destroyed? You know about him too? Taewon mentioned him once, said the marriage was political, designed to unite 2 syndicates. But when the wife's family fell, he abandoned the boy to save himself. He thought the child died. Rose shook her head. If he survived, if he's built his own power base, Imani, that man will want revenge for what his father did. He says he wants to help, to protect the babies. He wants leverage. Don't trust him. Don't trust any of them. Rose leaned forward, her voice fierce. You listen to me, baby girl. I know you feel trapped. I know you think you have no options, but you're stronger than you know. You survived losing your parents. You survived that horrible situation with Marcus. You'll survive this too. I don't feel strong. I feel terrified. Fear and strength aren't opposites. You can be both. Rose's hand reached toward the screen as if she could touch Imani through the distance. Talk to those babies, love them, fight for them, and when you're strong enough, when they're safe, you find a way out. You hear me? You find a way to be free. The 15 minutes expired too quickly. Dr. Cho appeared to disconnect the call, and Imani felt the loss like a physical ache. I love you, Grandma, she said as the screen began to fade. I love you too, baby. Stay alive. That's all that matters. Stay alive. The screen went dark. Imani lay back against the pillows, processing everything. Her Korean heritage, Rose's history with Taewon, the confirmation that the prophecy was real, that it had already caused deaths, that her daughters were caught in something that had been building for 40 years. Your grandmother seems formidable. Minwoo's voice came from the doorway. Imani's head snapped up. She'd thought she was alone. How long have you been there? Long enough to hear about my father's affair with her, about his paranoia regarding the prophecy, about the women he killed to prevent it. Minwoo moved into the room with that same predatory grace his brothers had. She's right to tell you not to trust me, you know. I do want revenge for what he did. Then why are you here offering an alliance? Because revenge doesn't require blood. Sometimes the best revenge is proving you're better than the man who abandoned you. Minwoo pulled up a chair, settling into it with casual confidence. Your daughters, if they survive, if they fulfill the prophecy by uniting the families, that proves my father was wrong to fear it, wrong to kill for it, wrong about everything. That's assuming my daughters want to unite criminal syndicates. What if they just want normal lives? Then they'll be disappointed, because the moment they're born, every family in Korea will want to claim them, control them, or eliminate them. Minwoo's lighter eyes held hers. That's the reality. You can accept my help. Or you can face that reality alone. I have Dae-jung and Sung-ho. 2 brothers against 5 families. They'll lose. But 3 brothers, united? That changes the equation. He leaned forward. I know you don't trust me. I know you're overwhelmed and scared and probably hate all of us equally, but I'm offering you something none of the others can. A genuine alliance with no romantic complications. I don't want to possess you. I don't want to control you. I just want those babies to survive long enough to prove the prophecy isn't a curse. And what do you get out of it? Family, legitimacy, a place at the table I was denied my entire life. His smile was sharp. I'm not pretending to be altruistic, but our interests align. You want your daughters safe. I want them to survive to fulfill their destiny. We can help each other. Before Imani could respond, both Dae-jung and Sung-ho entered, and the temperature in the room dropped several degrees. What are you doing in here? Dae-jung demanded. Talking to the mother of the prophecy children. Offering assistance. Minwoo stood, unbothered by his half-brother's hostility. She needs to understand all her options. Her options don't include you manipulating her while she's vulnerable. I'm not manipulating anyone. I'm being honest. Something you two might try sometime. Minwoo moved toward the door. Think about it, Imani. 3 brothers are stronger than 2, and these babies will need all the strength they can get. After he left, silence settled over the room. You can't trust him, Dae-jung said finally. I don't trust anyone, Imani replied, but he might have a point. If all these families are as dangerous as you say, we can handle them. Can you? Because yesterday you couldn't handle one obsessed ex-boyfriend and a good man died. The words landed like a slap. Dae-jung's jaw tightened, but he didn't argue. Sung-ho moved to sit in his usual chair. Minwoo isn't wrong about the threat. The 5 families are mobilizing. We've intercepted communications. They're planning something. Planning what? That's what we're trying to figure out. But Imani, you need to prepare yourself for the possibility that an attack could come at any time, here, at this hospital, and we might not be able to stop it. Fear spiked through her. Then get me out of here. Take me somewhere safer. There is nowhere safer. This hospital has our security, our guards, our control. Anywhere else, we'd be more vulnerable. Dae-jung moved to the window, stared out at Seoul's evening lights. We stay here. We defend this position, and we hope the babies have time to grow strong enough to survive. Hope isn't a strategy. It's all we have right now. The evening passed in tense silence. Dinner came and went, mostly uneaten. The monitors continued their steady beeping. Ji-yeon arrived for the evening shift change, her pregnant belly preceding her into the room. How are you feeling? She asked Imani quietly while checking vitals. like I'm living in a nightmare that won't end. I know that feeling. Ji-yeon's hand moved to her own belly. Mr. Ri told me today that after the baby is born, I'll be sent away. To Japan. I can never come back to Korea. I'm sorry. Don't be. It's more mercy than I deserve. Ji-yeon finished the vital check. But I wanted you to know, for the next 6 weeks while I'm still here, I'll protect you and those babies with everything I have. It's the only way I can make up for what I did. After Ji-yeon left, Imani found herself alone with both brothers again. The air felt heavy with unspoken words. "The call with your grandmother," Sung-ho said. "We heard parts of it, about her history with our father. You were listening?" "For security purposes." He had the grace to look slightly ashamed. "But Imani, what she told you about the prophecy, about the women our father killed, it's true. We didn't know the full extent until after he died, and we accessed his records. But he was paranoid, violent, he did unspeakable things. And you're his sons. How do I know you won't do the same?" "You don't," Dae-jung said bluntly. "You have to trust that we're trying to be better than he was." "That's a low bar. It's the only one we have." Night fell over Seoul. The brothers settled into their respective positions, Dae-jung on the couch, Sung-ho in the chair. Imani lay in her bed, unable to sleep, her mind racing through everything she'd learned. Her grandmother's affair with Taiwan, her own Korean heritage, the prophecy that had cost lives, the 3 dangerous brothers who all claimed some right to protect her, the babies growing inside her who would either unite or destroy an entire criminal underworld, and somewhere in Seoul, 5 families plotted while time ran out. At 11:47 p.m., Imani's phone, the monitored one Dae-jung had provided, buzzed with a text. She picked it up, expecting a message from Maya or maybe the hospital staff. Instead, she found a message from an unknown number. The blood results revealed more than paternity. Your daughters share 94% DNA match. Fraternal twins from superfecundation are usually 50% match like regular siblings. This high percentage suggests something else. Check with Dr. Cho. The prophecy may be more literal than anyone thought. A friend. Imani's hands shook as she reread the message. 94% DNA match. That was impossible for fraternal twins from different fathers. Unless... "Dae-jung," she called out, her voice tight. "Sung-ho, you need to see this." Both brothers were at her side instantly, reading the message over her shoulder. "What does that mean?" Sung-ho asked. "I don't know. But we need to call Dr. Cho. Now." Dr. Cho arrived within 20 minutes. Her professional demeanor cracking slightly when she read the text message. "Who sent this?" she demanded, studying the unknown number. "We don't know," Dae-jung replied, his voice tight with controlled anger. "But they have access to confidential medical information, which means someone in your lab or your staff is compromised." "Impossible. The paternity results are encrypted, stored on secure servers, clearly not secure enough." Dae-jung's dark eyes were cold. "Can you verify what the message claims? Is there a 94% DNA match between the twins?" Dr. Cho was quiet for a moment, then pulled up her tablet, fingers moving quickly across the screen. Her expression shifted from skepticism to confusion to something that looked like genuine alarm. "This doesn't make sense," she murmured, scrolling through data. "The genetic analysis shows..." "Yes, there's an unusually high DNA concordance between baby A and baby B, much higher than would be expected for fraternal twins from different fathers." "Meaning what?" Imani asked, her hand pressed protectively over her belly. "Meaning..." Dr. Cho set down the tablet, removed her glasses, rubbed her eyes. "I need to be very careful how I explain this. In typical heteropaternal superfecundation, twins with different fathers, the babies share approximately 50% of their DNA like regular siblings. They're genetically half-siblings because they share a mother but have different fathers. But mine share 94%? Imani's voice rose. How is that possible? There are several theoretical explanations, none of them common. Dr. Cho pulled up a chair, settled into medical explanation mode. The most likely scenario is that the 2 fathers are extremely closely related genetically. They're brothers, Sung-ho interrupted. Full brothers, same parents. Yes, but even full siblings typically share only 50% of their DNA. For two brothers to be genetically similar enough that their daughters would share 94% DNA, Dr. Cho paused, choosing her words carefully. It would suggest the brothers themselves share an unusually high amount of genetic material, more than typical siblings. What are you saying? Dae-jung demanded. I'm saying that you two might be more genetically identical than you realize. Not quite identical twins, those share 100% DNA, but perhaps something unusual happened during your mother's pregnancy, chimerism, genetic mosaicism, some rare developmental phenomenon that made you genetically more similar than standard fraternal twins or siblings. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. So our daughters, Imani said slowly, are genetically almost like full sisters, even though they have different fathers? Essentially, yes. For all practical purposes, they're functioning as full genetic sisters despite the heteropaternal conception. Dr. Cho pulled up genetic charts on her tablet, showed them the comparison. This is extraordinarily rare. I've never seen a case like this in my career. The prophecy, Sung-ho breathed. It says, child of two fathers. Singular, not children. Because genetically they're almost one child, Imani finished, horror and wonder mixing in her voice. They're not really two separate babies with different fathers. They're almost the same person split between two fathers. That's not scientifically accurate, Dr. Cho corrected, but poetically, you're not wrong. These twins are genetically far more united than typical fraternal twins. The prophecy, if we're entertaining its validity, might have been referring to this exact scenario. Dae-jung moved to the window, his hands clenched into fists. Who sent that message? Who knew about this before we did? Someone with access to the genetic analysis. Someone who wanted you to know. Dr. Cho's expression was troubled. I'll launch an internal investigation immediately. Find out who breached confidentiality. Don't bother, a voice said from the doorway. Minwoo stood there, holding his phone up with the same message displayed. I sent it. Well, I had it sent. I have people in the genetic testing company. They flagged the unusual results and brought them to my attention. You violated medical privacy laws, Dr. Cho said sharply. I revealed information that directly impacts the safety and future of those babies. You're welcome? Minwoo moved into the room with casual confidence despite the hostile energy from his brothers. The families need to know about this, about what these babies actually represent. The families don't need to know anything, Dae-jung growled. They already know. Word is spreading. The genetic anomaly makes the prophecy more credible, not less. These babies aren't just children of two fathers, they're genetically unified children who represent both fathers equally. Minwoo's lighter eyes held Dae-jung's dark ones without flinching. That makes them more powerful. And more dangerous. Get out, Imani said, her voice shaking. All three of you, get out of my room right now. Imani? Sung-ho started. Out! The shout made her abdomen tighten, a warning contraction that sent pain radiating through her pelvis. I can't breathe with all of you in here talking about my babies like they're science experiments or weapons or prophecy fulfillments. They're my daughters. Mine. And I need you all to leave so I can process this without drowning in your politics. Dr. Cho stood immediately. Everyone out. Now. Ms. Cross's blood pressure is spiking again. You're literally endangering her and the babies by being here. The three brothers filed out reluctantly, Minwoo pausing at the door. I'm sorry for the dramatic reveal, but you needed to know. The families certainly do by now. After they left, Dr. Cho administered medication to calm Imani's racing heart and relaxed her uterus. I need you to breathe. Slow, deep breaths. The stress hormones aren't good for... I know. The babies. Everything I do or feel or think affects them. I know. Imani closed her eyes, tears leaking from the corners. But Dr. Cho, what does this mean? Really mean? Are my babies... Are they normal? They're perfectly healthy developmentally. The genetic similarity doesn't indicate any abnormalities or health problems. It's just unusual, rare, scientifically fascinating, but medically irrelevant to their care. Dr. Cho's hand found Imani's, squeezed gently. What it means politically or prophetically, I can't tell you. But medically, they're two healthy baby girls who need their mother to stay calm and keep them growing. After Dr. Cho left, Imani lay in the darkness, her hands on her belly, feeling the subtle movements of her daughters. Hayun, Misun. She whispered their names. I don't care what your DNA says. I don't care if you're 94% the same or 100% different. You're my babies, my daughters, and nobody gets to turn you into symbols or weapons or prophecy fulfillments except over my dead body. Gentle movements beneath her hands, as if they heard her, as if they understood. Sleep didn't come easily that night. Dawn arrived with unexpected chaos. Imani woke to shouting in the hallway, raised voices in Korean, the sound of scuffling, a woman screaming. Dae-jung was at the door instantly, weapon drawn. Sung-ho moved to shield Imani's bed with his body. What's happening? Imani demanded. I don't know, Sung-ho replied, his voice tense. But stay down. The door burst open, and Ji-yeon stumbled in, her pregnant belly leading, her face pale and terrified. Blood dripped from a cut on her temple. They're here, she gasped. The families, they're here. Who? Dae-jung demanded. Which family? All of them. Ji-yeon's hands wrapped around her belly protectively. All 5 families. They're in the building. They want to see the babies, want to verify the DNA results. They're demanding access to Ms. Cross. Alarm bells began wailing throughout the hospital, not fire alarms, but security alerts. The sound of gunfire erupted somewhere below them, distant but getting closer. Lock it down, Dae-jung commanded into his phone, speaking rapid Korean. All floors, nobody gets to the maternity ward. I don't care how many of them there are. More gunfire, closer now. The sound of breaking glass. They're coming up the stairwells, Ji-yeon said, her voice shaking. I saw them. Men with weapons. Lots of them. Mr. Ri, they're going to breach this floor. Minwoo appeared in the doorway, his expression grim. My people are engaging on floors 3 and 4, but there are too many. We're outnumbered 3-1. How did they coordinate this? Sung-ho demanded. 5 families don't work together, ever. The prophecy changed that. The genetic results changed that. Minwoo pulled his own weapon. They're not here to kill Imani. They're here to take her, take the babies. Whoever controls the prophecy, children controls the future. Over my dead body, Dae-jung said coldly. That's what they're counting on. The sound of approaching footsteps in the hallway. Lots of them. Heavy boots, military precision. Dr. Cho burst into the room, followed by 2 nurses. We need to move her, now. There's a service elevator that goes directly to the underground parking. It's our only chance. She can't move, Sung-ho protested. Her water broke. Any movement risks. Staying here guarantees the baby's death and hers. We move her. Dr. Cho was already disconnecting monitors, grabbing IV bags. You 2, help me get her onto the gurney. We go now. Everything happened in a blur. Strong hands lifting her, the world tilting as they transferred her from bed to wheeled gurney. The IV line tangling, then being hastily reconnected. Ji-yeon grabbing blankets, covering Imani to preserve some modesty. The babies! Imani gasped as they began wheeling her toward the door. Are they okay? The movement? Worry about that later, Dr. Cho said firmly. Right now, we focus on getting you out of here alive. They burst into the hallway to find it transformed into a war zone. Dae-jung's guards engaged with men in tactical gear. Gunfire echoed off the walls. Smoke from some kind of explosive or tear gas made visibility poor. Minwoo took point, his weapon raised, clearing a path. Dae-jung flanked the gurney on one side, Sung-ho on the other. Dr. Cho and the nurses pushed, moving as fast as they dared while Ji-yeon brought up the rear despite her own pregnancy. An explosion somewhere close made the building shake. Imani's hands flew to her belly, terrified the jostling was triggering labor. "Almost there," Dr. Cho said, her voice strained with effort. "The service elevator is just around this corner." They turned the corner and came face to face with 4 men in black tactical gear, weapons raised. Time seemed to slow. Minwoo fired first, dropping 1 man instantly. Dae-jung and Sung-ho engaged the others, their movements coordinated despite years of rivalry. The gurney kept moving, Dr. Cho refusing to stop even as bullets flew past them. One of the tactical team threw something, a small canister that rolled across the floor, emitting thick smoke. "Tear gas!" Sung-ho shouted. "Cover her face!" Ji-yeon threw herself over Imani's upper body, using her own pregnant form as a shield. The smoke burned Imani's eyes, her throat, making it impossible to breathe. Then they were in the service elevator, the doors slamming shut, cutting off the chaos behind them. The descent was terrifying, the elevator moving too fast, the lights flickering, the sound of gunfire and explosions muffled but still audible through the metal walls. Imani felt wetness between her legs, not amniotic fluid this time. Blood, fresh blood. "Dr. Cho," she gasped. "I'm bleeding." The doctor lifted the blanket, checked quickly, her face going pale. "Hemorrhaging. The stress and movement triggered something. We need to get her to an operating room immediately." "The parking garage has a medical van waiting," Minwoo said, checking his phone. 2 minutes out. The elevator doors opened to reveal an underground parking structure, dimly lit and eerily quiet. A white medical van sat idling 20 feet away, back doors open, a stretcher visible inside. They rushed Imani across the concrete, every bump sending jolts of pain through her abdomen. The bleeding was getting worse. She could feel it, warm and terrible, soaking through the blankets. "The babies," she whispered to Dr. Ria Cho as they loaded her into the van. "Are they still alive? Both heartbeats present, but you're losing too much blood. We need to stop the hemorrhage or we'll lose all 3 of you." The van doors slammed shut. Dr. Cho and 1 nurse stayed with Imani while the others took defensive positions outside. The van started moving, tires squealing as they raced up the parking garage ramps. "Where are we going?" Imani asked, her vision starting to blur from blood loss. "Safe house, private medical facility." Dr. Cho was already starting an additional IV line, hanging bags of fluids and blood products. "You're going to be okay. All 3 of you are going to be okay." But her voice carried doubt. The van hit the street, sirens wailing. Through the small window, Imani could see Seoul passing by in a blur of lights and buildings. Morning traffic. Normal people going about their normal lives while she fled for her life and her daughter's lives. "Stay with me," Dr. Cho commanded as Imani's eyes began to close. "Imani, stay awake. Talk to me. Tell me about your daughters. What do you want for them?" "Freedom," Imani whispered. "I want them to be free, not trapped like me, not owned, not used, just free. Then fight, stay awake and fight for them." But the blood loss was winning. Imani's vision darkened at the edges, consciousness slipping away like water through her fingers. The last thing she heard before darkness claimed her was Dr. Cho's urgent voice. "We're losing her. Drive faster. For God's sake, drive faster." And the sound of 2 heartbeats on a portable monitor, faint, racing, terrified. Her daughters, still alive, still fighting, even if their mother couldn't. Consciousness returned in fragments. Pain first, sharp and deep in her abdomen, then voices, urgent, speaking rapid Korean, then the unmistakable sensation of hands on her body, medical instruments, the cold bite of antiseptic. Imani forced her eyes open to find herself in an unfamiliar room. Not the hospital, somewhere smaller, more intimate. Medical equipment surrounded her, but the space felt more like a high-end apartment than a medical facility. "She's awake," Dr. Cho's voice thick with relief. "Imani, can you hear me?" "The babies," Imani managed, her throat raw. "Are they—" "Both alive, both heartbeats strong. I stopped the hemorrhage with emergency medications and procedures, but it was close. Too close." Dr. Cho moved into her field of vision, her face drawn with exhaustion. "You've been unconscious for 3 hours. We're at a secure location now. underground medical facility owned by the Ri family. I'm here. Dae-jung appeared on her other side, and Imani was shocked to see genuine fear in his dark eyes, an emotion she'd never seen him display before. You almost died. All three of you almost died. The families? The attack? Ongoing. They breached the hospital, but we got you out in time. Sung-ho's voice came from somewhere behind her. The building is locked down now. Our people and Minwoo's people are holding them off, but it's a siege situation. Imani tried to sit up, but her body refused to cooperate. Every muscle felt like lead, her limbs weak and unresponsive. Don't move, Dr. Cho commanded, pressing her back down gently. You lost almost 2 liters of blood. You're on multiple medications to stop contractions, prevent infection, and keep your blood pressure stable. Movement could trigger another hemorrhage. So I'm still trapped, just in a different cage. You're alive. Your daughters are alive. That's what matters right now. Dr. Cho adjusted the IV drips. This facility is state-of-the-art. Everything you need is here. And it's far more secure than the hospital was. Imani's hand moved to her belly, needing to feel the subtle movements that confirmed life. Both daughters responded with tiny flutters. Not kicks yet. They were still too small, but definite movements. The genetic results, she said quietly. The 94% DNA match. Is it real? It's real, Dr. Cho confirmed. I've verified it independently now. Your daughters share an unprecedented level of genetic similarity despite having different fathers. It's remarkable scientifically. And apparently, prophetically significant. That's why the families attacked, why they want them. That's part of it. But also, Dr. Cho hesitated, then continued. The families believe that whichever syndicate controls these babies will control the future of organized crime in Korea. The prophecy combined with the genetic anomaly has made your daughters the most valuable assets in the underworld. They're not assets, they're babies. I know, but to them, Dr. Cho trailed off, the implications hanging heavy in the air. A commotion at the door drew everyone's attention. Ji-yeon entered, supporting herself against the doorframe, her face pale and strained. Contractions, she gasped. I'm having contractions. I think the baby is coming. Dr. Cho was on her feet instantly. How far apart? 5 minutes. Maybe less. Ji-yeon's hand pressed to her belly. I'm only 33 weeks. It's too early. It's early but viable. Better than 23 weeks. Dr. Cho gestured to one of the nurses who'd accompanied them from the hospital. Get her to the secondary room. Prep for emergency delivery. I'll be there in 2 minutes. As Ji-yeon was led away, Dae-jung's expression showed something complicated, concern mixed with resentment, mixed with guilt. That's your daughter, Imani said quietly. Your third daughter, about to be born. I know. Are you going to be there, for the birth? He was silent for a long moment, then shook his head. My place is here. With you. With Ha-yoon. Ji-yeon made her choices. She faces the consequences. That baby didn't make any choices. She's innocent. I'll provide for her, financially. She'll want for nothing, but I won't pretend to love a child born from betrayal. The coldness in his voice reminded Imani exactly who she was dealing with. For all his occasional moments of vulnerability, Dae-jung was still the man who'd manipulated her into pregnancy, who viewed people as possessions, who could watch the mother of his child give birth alone and feel no remorse. Go, Imani said. Be there for that baby's birth, not for Ji-yeon, for the baby. Because one day your daughter Ha-yoon is going to ask about her half-sister, and you're going to have to explain why you weren't there. Something flickered in Dae-jung's expression. Perhaps the beginning of conscience, perhaps just calculation. But he stood and moved toward the door. If anything changes with Imani or the babies, you get me immediately, he told Sung-ho. I will. After Dae-jung left, Sung-ho moved to sit in the chair beside Imani's bed. The same position he'd claimed in the hospital, his territory in this strange dance they'd been doing for days. You're good with him, Sung-ho said quietly. Better than I am. You know how to reach past his control. I know how to manipulate him. There's a difference. Imani's hand rested on her belly. But that baby deserves to have her father present at her birth, even if he doesn't deserve to be a father. They sat in silence for a while, the only sound the steady beeping of monitors tracking 2 heartbeats and the distant sounds of Ji-yeon's labor through the walls. The prophecy, Sung-ho said finally. Do you believe it? Really believe it? I believe that people believe it, which makes it real in the ways that matter. Imani turned her head to look at him. Those babies will grow up with everyone expecting them to either unite or destroy the 5 families. That kind of expectation shapes a life, whether the prophecy itself is true or not. And if they don't want that, if they just want to be normal girls, then they'll have to fight for that right, just like I'm fighting now. Her voice hardened. But I won't let anyone take their choices away. I don't care if I have to fight all 5 families and 3 dangerous brothers. My daughters get to choose their own futures. Even if their choice leads to destruction? Even then, because at least it will be their choice, not something forced on them by prophecy or politics or men who think they own the world. Sung-ho was quiet for a moment, then reached out and took her hand, a gesture of genuine connection, not possession. I'm going to help you, whatever it takes. I don't want Mi-sun growing up the way we did, trapped by expectations, by family violence, by the legacy of a father who saw children as assets. Is that why you're different from your brother? Because you want to break the cycle? I'm not that different, I just hide my damage better. His rugged face showed genuine pain. But yes, I want to be better. For her, for you, for whatever future we manage to build from this mess. A cry from the other room, a newborn's wail, Ji-yeon's baby, born into chaos and rejection, but alive. That's Hana, Sung-ho said softly, your daughter's half-sister, the 3rd piece of this impossible puzzle. They waited in tense silence until Dr. Cho returned 20 minutes later, looking exhausted but satisfied. Healthy baby girl, 5 pounds, 8 ounces, 33 weeks gestation but strong. She'll need monitoring but no NICU required. Dr. Cho washed her hands at the small sink. Ji-yeon is recovering. Dae-jung was present for the birth. He held the baby briefly, then left. That's something, I guess, Imani said bitterly. It's more than I expected from him. Dr. Cho moved to check Imani's vitals, her expression serious. Your blood pressure has stabilized. The hemorrhage hasn't recurred. But Imani, you need to understand. What happened today, the stress, the blood loss, the movement, it could have killed you and both babies. You can't go through that again. I didn't exactly choose to be attacked by 5 crime families. No, but you're in a war zone now, and until those babies are born, you're the most vulnerable person in Korea. Dr. Cho's hand found Imani's shoulder. I need you to prepare yourself for the possibility that we might not make it to 30 weeks, that we might not even make it to 28. Every day from here forward is a gift, not a guarantee. The words settled over Imani like a shroud. How long? She whispered. Realistically, how long do I have? If we're very lucky and nothing else goes wrong, 4 to 5 weeks. That would get you to 27 or 28 weeks, which gives the babies about an 80 to 90% survival rate. Dr. Cho paused. But given everything that's happened, I'd say we should prepare for delivery any day now. Your body has been through too much trauma. It might not be able to hold on much longer. So my daughters might be born at 23 weeks, where they have a 10 to 20% chance of survival. Or they might make it to 25, 26, 27 weeks. We don't know, but you need to prepare yourself mentally for the possibility of very premature birth and for the NICU journey that will follow. After Dr. Cho left to check on Ji-yeon and baby Hana, Imani lay in the darkness, her hands on her belly, feeling the movements that might stop any day, any hour, any moment. I'm sorry, she whispered to Hyun and Mi-sun. I'm sorry I couldn't give you more time. I'm sorry the world wants to use you before you're even born. I'm sorry for everything. Subtle movements beneath her hands, her daughters responding to her voice, still alive, still fighting. But I promise you this, for however long you have inside me, and for every day after you're born, I will fight for you, I will protect you, I will love you so fiercely that nothing and no one can touch you. The door opened quietly. Minwoo entered, his expression grim. The hospital is lost, he said without preamble. The families have taken control. They're searching every room, every floor, looking for you. And they've put out word, a bounty of 10 billion won for whoever delivers you and the babies to them, alive. 10 billion won? Sung-ho's voice was sharp. That's $8 million, Minwoo confirmed. Half the underworld in Seoul will be looking for her by morning. Every mercenary, every desperate criminal, every person who needs that kind of money. Then we defend this position, Sung-ho said. This position won't hold against that kind of assault, not long term. Minwoo moved closer, his lighter eyes serious. We need to move her again, somewhere even more secure, somewhere no one would think to look. She can't be moved, Sung-ho protested. You heard Dr. Cho, another hemorrhage could kill all three of them. Staying here will definitely kill all three of them. Minwoo pulled out his phone, showed them a map. I have a facility, on a private island off the coast of Jeju. Medical equipment, security, complete isolation. It's a 4-hour journey by boat, but once we're there, we're untouchable. 4 hours of movement and stress, Sung-ho started, versus death in the next 24 hours when this location is compromised. Minwoo's voice was cold and practical. Choose. Imani listened to them argue, feeling her agency slipping away again, decisions being made for her, about her, around her, the story of her life since meeting these men. Stop, she said quietly. Both brothers fell silent. I'll go. To the island, because Minwoo is right. Staying here means death. But I'm setting terms. All three of you hear me clearly. She struggled to sit up slightly, ignoring the pain and dizziness. When my daughters are born, when they're safe, when this nightmare is finally over, you don't get to make decisions for me anymore. Not about where I live, not about who I see, not about anything. I get my life back, even if I have to fight you for it. Understand? Minwoo smiled slightly. Understood. Sung-ho nodded. Understood. The door opened again and Dae-jung returned, his expression unreadable. The baby is healthy, Ji-yeon is stable. I've made arrangements for her care. We're moving to Minwoo's island, Sung-ho told him. It's the only option. Dae-jung looked between them, then at Imani, assessing. When? Tonight, as soon as we can safely transport her. Minwoo was already making calls, speaking rapid Korean. Then we go tonight. Dae-jung moved to Imani's bedside, his dark eyes intense. But understand this, all of you. Those babies are the future of this family, of all our families. We protect them with everything we have, no matter the cost. Even if it costs me my life? Imani asked. Even then. Because without them, everything we've fought for means nothing. The brutal honesty was almost refreshing. As the brothers began preparations for the move, as Dr. Cho was briefed and began packing emergency medical supplies, as the small underground facility transformed into organized chaos, Imani lay in her bed and felt the weight of prophecy crushing down on her. Her daughters, Hayun and Mi-sun, 2 babies not yet born, already worth $8 million to people who wanted to control them, already the center of wars and prophecies and impossible expectations. Outside this underground bunker, Seoul hunted for them. 5 families mobilized, a bounty that would draw every mercenary and desperate criminal in Korea. And in 4 hours, they'd be on a boat to a remote island, fleeing into isolation. But at least they'd be alive. At least they'd have a chance. The monitors beeped their steady rhythm, 2 heartbeats, strong and determined. Her daughters still fighting, still surviving, still growing toward a future no one could predict. Hold on, Imani whispered one more time. Just a little longer. We're almost safe, almost free. Just hold on. But as preparations continued around her, as midnight approached and the city hunted, Imani couldn't shake the feeling that this was only the beginning, that the real nightmare was still to come, and that safety was an illusion that men like these would never truly allow her to have. But for tonight, for this moment, her daughters were alive, and that would have to be enough.